Hello and welcome to Crucible of Words for more dedicated legacy action. It's Halloween week, so I'm trying to play some spooky decks. Next week we're going to be playing a lot of ultra competitive decks to help people get an idea for Eternal Weekend. So this week we're going to be doing a bit more fun stuff and trying to play some spooky decks. So we are starting out with spirits today. So there are some very good spirits in Legacy. So White Orchid Phantom and Spirit of the Labyrinth are both pretty damn solid right now. Skyclave Apparition also, you know, we see this card in Death and Taxes and things. But the thing about Death and Taxes right now is it's not a very good deck, as we showed on the channel last week or whenever I played it last. However, if we were to add in some nice little counter magic in the form of Force of Will and Spell Queller, maybe things start getting a little bit better. And then we have Drogskol Captain, which can pump all of our creatures, as well as giving it hexproof, so it makes our creatures harder to remove. And we've got a decent chunk of evasion here. We've got a bunch of flyers that we can start pumping, and yeah, that's pretty much the plan we're doing here. Just playing some good old-fashioned Kindred spirits. So we have some new ones here in Indebted Spirit. This is a 1-mana 1/1 with Afterlife 1, so when it dies you get a 1/1 white and black spirit token with flying, but you can also bestow this on something and then that gains Afterlife as well. This is fine. It's not really fully Legacy power level, but we needed to find another 1-drop, and that's what we ended up with. Mausoleum Wanderer is a 1-mana 1/1 flyer, which is okay-ish because it's got this nice little ability to stop an instant or sorcery and we sack it. We can improve its power by having a Lord in play as well. So this is what we're going with. It's a blue card to help with our Force of Will count as well. But the 2-drop slot is where we actually get the good spells. So we get the Spirit of the Labyrinth and the White Orchid Phantom. We also have a couple of Remorseful Clerics because Graveyard are important zones now. So we need to interact with the Graveyards, that's what we have. And then I've already gone over these ones. We also get to play some Force of Wills alongside the Swords to Plowshares. So you've just got a lot of interaction. Some of it is bolted onto creatures. And then we can try and do this uncountably with Cavern of Souls. And we've got ourselves some Wasteland to sort of complement our White Orchid Phantom to make sure that our opponent never has any of the good lands in play. We can play off of basics with our fetches into our basics. And we've got ourselves a Meticulous Archive that we can go and fetch when we need to as well. Are we expecting this deck to win all the games? No. Are we expecting it to be fun? Yeah, I think so. And I think it'll do better than expected just because we have some, you know, fine stuff here. You know, we've got lots of answers to Psychic Frog and Skyclave Apparition and Swords to Plowshares. We've got some counter spells for the scarier spells in the format right now. And we've got a nice sideboard with some more spirits. We've got some Kataki to hate on some artifact decks. We've got some Deafening Silence for the Storm combo type stuff. We've got ourselves some Remorseful Clerics for a bit more graveyard hate. These could be any sort of graveyard hate card, but I wanted to keep something on theme, keep it spooky, but also we have counter magic to try and delay the sort of reanimation strategy, so then we can drop this on turn 2. And the reanimated decks won't tend not to be trying to do it on all on turn 1. We've got a little bit more counter magic, including some Consign to Memory for those Eldrazi decks. So when our creatures aren't going to be particularly good, we need to be able to contest those Eldrazi decks because our creatures won't be as good as our opponents. So that's where this comes in. And then you have one Kira for like control matchups if we just need a little bit more protection for our creatures. So yeah, that's the spooky ghosty spirit deck. Let's see how it goes. Please remember to like and subscribe, and you can become a YouTube member for £1 a month to view my content early. Alright, let's get spooky. Our opening hand for the first game does not really play the spells we need it to, so let's mulligan. Okay, this is reasonable. We can probably throw away one of our lands. The Force of Will isn't the best, but we have, you know, the good half of our deck, if you want to call it that. So we can actually start off with a Meticulous Archive and just get a little bit of selection on our turn 1. So by having fetch lands in your deck, you effectively increase your number of turn 1 plays if you have access to a Surveil land. Alright, not so big into the Surveil land right now. Right, so I'll play out this Flooded Strand with the idea of getting a basic Plains probably. And then we're going to be casting either the White Orchid Phantom or the Spirit of the Labyrinth off of the Cavern next turn. Right, we're seeing a Lorien Revealed cycled. What does this tell us? It tells us our opponent is probably... Okay, they've got Tropical Island. I was going to say they're probably not on a blue-black build. They might be on a Bug Beanstalk style deck. That would track with what we've seen so far. We tend not to see the Lorien Revealed decks in the full-on tempo decks. Alright, Once Upon a Time should hopefully give us a little bit more information about what our opponent's working with over there. And hopefully let us decide which of our 2-drops is the best one to deploy first. Another Misty Rainforest. Not any more information for us to work with. I think we're probably looking at deploying the Spirit of the Labyrinth because our opponent has clearly got some amount of blue spells in their deck. So this has to get us a plains, I think, here. We could just play into the Wasteland and just get Tundra and then deploy the Cavern, and then we get Tundra off of this one, and then we can't be wasted off of a colour. That comes undone if our opponent has Loam in their deck, though. Let's get the Tundra. Make an uncounterable Spirit of the Labyrinth. It's a spooky ghost. The first spooky ghost of the league. Architect of Will. Okay, so our opponent is probably on some sort of Cascade Living End style deck. Something along those lines. That's the only place you see that, because this helps them get Delirium because it's an artifact and a creature for the purposes of the little red creature, Bloodbraid Marauder, I think it is. It's a 3/1 and it cascades if you have Delirium for 2 mana. Right, we're losing our Tundra here. That's interesting. We'd like to find a blue card. I'm a little bit worried about our blue count. We're on the lowest end of blue count that's acceptable, really. Bloodbraid Marauder. What are you going to cascade into? Crashing Footfalls. Okay. So they're a Footfalls deck rather than a Living End deck. Right, so our opponent has some bigger creatures than us. Not ideal. So what is our solution to this? We could work towards using our Indebted Spirit here. I think we're probably just on making the Phantom. And we probably want to take red from our opponent, because that's going to be their removal colour, which is going to be really handy here. Right, cycling their Street Wraith. Fear of missing out. What does this do? Enters, discard a card and draw a card. Delirium. Attacks. Untap target creature and have another combat step. That's pretty good. Just try and hate on their red mana. Oh, they didn't find anything. Now, if we'd have had a blue card for this Forcible, we would have been in a good spot. Obviously, we don't know what kind of magic our opponent is sat on over there. Okay, I don't really want to trade both of my bodies. We can put the Indebted Spirit on a Spirit of Labyrinth, and that gives us a 4-power guy that can trade with a Rhinoceros. So if we cast this with Bestow, we can't use the Cavern mana because we're casting it as a creature, as an enchantment rather than a creature. So we bestow this on the Spirit. This allows us to trade with the Rhino, but without Force of Wills and things, we're going to struggle here. Like, we didn't have our Force of Will to hit their Rhinos. We don't have any Source of Plowshares to deal with the Rhinos on the flip side. Right, they're cycling an Architect of Will. The White Orchid Phantom keeps the Marauder at bay, so we're not attacking with it. So Force of Will. So we can trade 2 cards for a Rhinoceros, and then hope to draw something. Problem is, if we can find ourselves another White Orchid Phantom, we can just first strike down a Rhino. But I don't think we can take 8 here, so we have to put some creatures in front. I'm coming in with everything. Probably have to... So if we double block here, we only prevent 3 damage this turn. So we take 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and we go to 1, which is the same as just blocking here. Yep, this feels bad. What can we find to dig us out of this hole? A Swords to Plowshares doesn't cut it anymore. I think we just toast. Spell Queller. A little bit late to the party there. Alright. The Rhinos were good. So, what do we want to do about this? We probably don't need Remorseful Clerics. Our opponents on Rhinos. Deafening Silence is very good against many of their Rhinoceros lines. The Indebted Spirit is probably the weakest thing we have in our deck, so that should probably just go and become Deafening Silence. The problem with Force of Negation is they can cast the things on our turn. Well, actually, is that true? If they're casting... If they're trying to do it off the Marauders, then the Force of Negation does work here. So we're not drawing that many extra cards. We can get rid of an Indebted Spirit. That gets us one of these forces. We need 2 more slots. I don't think we can take out any blue cards. Take a couple of Spirits of the Labyrinth. The fact that our removal in Skyclave specifically says non-token is really frustrating for a matchup like this. There is an argument to having Kira here so that we can get round our opponent having some sort of Fury action. There's only so many cards we can do. And I think just stopping their Rhinos is going to put us in a good spot moving forward. Actually, the Deafening Silence isn't going to help as much as I think it is it? Because if they're casting Bloodbraid Marauder, Bloodbraid Marauder doesn't work the same way as like Violent Outburst. Because it's a creature, they still get to cast the thing off of the Deafening Silence. So I don't think we're supposed to do that. So we boarded back in another 1-drop, and we've got a couple more spirits. Alright, Magic Online crashed, so we didn't actually get to do the sideboarding I wanted, which is a little awkward. I guess we keep this. They might have some other ways of cascading, but this is certainly an irritating one that I have these Deafening Silence in that I didn't want in. Alright, we're in. We've got a Mausoleum Wanderer. Let's go. This can counter our opponent's spell. They just need to have 1 mana up, so it's just going to like tax them a little bit, but I'll take it. There's a Wasteland. That's bad news for us as well. We do have 24 lands in our deck, which is quite a lot. We'll play a non-wastelandable land. Let's play our Deafening Silence. Not the most useful here. You never know. Maybe it'll be more useful than I think. I guess it means our opponent can't fight back if they cast their spell, so it's not going to be completely useless. Alright, there's some Cycling of the Street Race. That helps us out with our life total. Maybe they do have Living End here. Haha, we can't get rid of that Wasteland. But we can't really play this Tundra. Swords to Plowshares. I guess we're just attacking here. If we draw another basic, then we can actually use this Tundra as our 3rd mana source. We can also just hold this Tundra until we draw a 2-drop, and then we can actually deploy it and get something out of our Tundra. Tropical Island. Say its name. Cool. Our opponent's on something. I don't know if they're using this for the combo potential, where if you have enough copies of this, you can go and get the insect legend out of your deck. That's pretty sweet. Find a land that works for us. Yes, I can. That's good news. So this can get us an island, and then we can play Tundra and have Spell Queller or Drogskol Captain available. The time we play the Drogskol Captain, it will pump our Mausoleum Wanderer, so it will crash in for 3. I consider running Geist of St. Draft in this list as well, just as like a creature that hits hard, but I think its time has come and gone, the old Geist. Volcanic Island. Fear of missing out. Okay. This will have Delirium, so this will attack for 4 every turn. That's quite a lot. I think I want to plow it. Maybe that's a bit hasty. I'm going to go and fetch the Meticulous Archive here. Try and dig our way towards another land, because we're going to be exposed to Wasteland anyway. Yes, I would very much like to have that Flooded Strand. So now we have a choice here. We can bash the 3 and get the Drogskol Captain, or we can hold up the Spell Queller. What am I worried about? If they Wasteland us, then we don't get to do anything. So we should be playing the Drogskol Captain here. Get our Spirit Soldier. I always thought it looked more like a pirate than a soldier. But Cycling Street Wraith. They do have Life from Loam to go with this Wasteland, so we do need to get stuff on board. But if they spend all their time doing that, it's not the worst for us, because we've got a real clock in play now. They can dredge and then double Wasteland us. But if they're doing that, then they get beaten down for 5, and then they don't have any lands to then do anything else, because they'll be using all their lands to hate on ours. We're ahead on board, so I'm quite content with that. They can't completely blow us out with Fury. They can take out our Drogskol Captain and leave us with a 1-1, which obviously isn't great. Alright, we're just doing more land cycling. My opponent loves cycling for lands. Alright, we're cascading. They've got the mana up to pay for our Actually, no, they can't pay for the Mausoleum Wanderer here, right? Because we have... This has power too. Because thanks to the Drogskol Captain. Alright. We're in a position where we might be able to win a game. That's an exciting one. Source to Plowshares. Definitely a fan of having that one. Splash for 2. We can also flash in our Spell Queller. I don't really want to flash it in as a blocker when it has such a powerful ability. But we can flash it in at end step. And that gives us the ability to put our opponent to 1. So if they crack a fetch land, then I'll obviously do that, because that gives us a route to actually win the game. An Uro. That one is annoying. Do I want to just fire off the Spell Queller right now, though? I don't think so. I'm more scared of double Rhinos. We have the Plow, which can answer the Uro cleanly, whereas the Spell Queller is the only thing we have that answers the Crashing Footfalls cleanly. The Gaining of Life is definitely an irritant. There's an argument there to also Source to Plowshares it on the way through the first time, to stop them having another crack at it. But I'm so unfamiliar with what is in our opponent's deck that I'm kind of reluctant to do it. Okay. Tap the Drogskol Captain. I don't think we need to exile this Bloodbraid Marauder. We're getting a petty theft, are we? Let's say no to that one. Alright. So we're going to put our opponent to 7, then we can bash for 5 on the following turn. We're kind of getting somewhere. Looking forward to boarding out these Deafening Silences, though. They might be doing some work, stopping our opponent interacting with us. But I think we can just have more gas, and that'll be fine. So they can bring back the Uro this turn. We can Skyclave it. Alright, here comes the Uro. I think we're going to try and handle this with the Skyclave. So you have a 2-turn clock in play. And we get to increase that by playing a Skyclave, which can make it potentially 1 turn if our opponent has another fetch land. Alright, our opponent has... Are they attacking their 3-1 into my 3-4? This suggests they have a kill spell for our Drogskol Captain, so I'm just going to take it. Feels like they've got some sort of dead and gone type thing, which would cleanly clean up the Captain. Alright, just another one of those, is it? Yeah, so if we block there, they bounce and they get the thing back, and it all goes horribly wrong for us. I could plow now, knowing that this plow won't get hit by a Swords to Plowshares. Sorry, not Swords to Plowshares, counter magic of some. I'm the one casting the Swords to Plowshares. Does give our opponent a big chunk of life there. How do I feel about this White Orchid Phantom? It was pretty good last time. It's not very mana efficient to play. We could just drop the Captain. I like dropping the Captain here. Crash for 3. Because this way they have to answer the Captain before they can do anything with the Spell Queller. We'll take 3. We are winning this race if nothing changes. We can always delete this as and when we feel the need to. If our opponent doesn't wasteland us and we draw a land, that's going to be pretty solid. Say its name. And return to Wasteland. We get double wastelanded. Looks like we are. So we don't have access to our Skyclave Apparition anymore. So Brazen Borrower can only block creatures with flying. We're getting Force of Will, pitching an Intuition. We'll attack with our 3-4. Our opponent cracks for 6 next turn if we do this. That's okay. Now if we find a land, we can just Skyclave away one of their creatures. We're getting a real game of Magic the Gathering, which is about all we could hope for playing Spirits. Once upon a time. Fear of missing out. Sure. I could give them lethal damage next turn. Ooh. They got the big one. They got... So this is the thing you get back when they say its names. So it's a 9/9 trample. When it comes to target spell or ability, opponent controls, draw a card. You can discard it to return a land card to play tap. Am I going to trade my Drogskol Captain for this Brazen Borrower? I don't think so. We might have to be back on blocks for this turn, though. We're going to try and draw a land. We did not draw a land. I think we are just going to lose now, unfortunately. So if we block here, that doesn't really do very much for us. They have attack with all 3 of these. We can block 1, block 2. This can untap itself, then we can block it on the way through. So we're not dead. Okay, it's targeting itself. So this will become a 2-3. That's not the most useful, is it? So if we block here and here, we take 3 and die. If we block here and here, we stay alive, then we have to chump block here. Because our creature's going to die. Actually, no, our creature just dies and they kill us, right? Yeah, alright. That was a tough one. Let's go to round 2 and see if we can be spooky in someone else's face. Alright, I think we can... Can we keep this one? We can't cast our White Orchid Phantoms here. I think we have to mulligan. Alright, this is fine. Keep this. I think we want to keep all of our lands. Would I rather play... Given the format at the moment, we're probably better off keeping one of our 3-drops. We could bin off the Wasteland, but I like the Wasteland interaction. Do we need Wasteland and White Orchid Phantom, I guess, is the question. Alright, we'll try it like this. Our opponent's mulligan to 5 cards. We might be getting whooped before we get to do anything here. I think we lead off... They're on a 5-card hand. I will play this Tundra out. It does expose us to Wasteland, but if they're already on a 5-card hand, that's more a percentage of their resources than it is ours. Right, Prismatic Vista. A Prismatic Vista deck that mulligans that much. Just makes me think we're playing against, like, Omnitel. Let's get our Graveyard Hate in. An island, are we going to see some interaction for our Remorseful Cleric? No. They just want to make sure they had the Prismatic Vista in their graveyard. For some reason. Interesting. Not sure on the timing on that one. Like, it doesn't really matter. Maybe they're just doing that so they get F6 the rest of the turn because they're playing a slow deck and they want to get every little inch of the clock they can keep. That would make sense. Let's attack with our Remorseful Cleric. Right, I think we want to get the Spirit of the Labyrinth in this turn and then hopefully just hold up the Spell Queller and get over the line with the Spell Queller. The Spell Queller can exile a Supreme Verdict. Not many things get to actually counter Supreme Verdict, so it's nice to have one. Teferi Time Raveler. Yeah, that's a mean one. We can deny our opponent's card draw here by losing our creature. I don't think I want to do that. So we can play out this uncounterable Skyclave Apparition. I can take out the Teferi, so that's pretty handy. Narset. I can see why they feel in such a good spot over here and they're willing to play like 1-for-1 removal on our guys. Even though our guys weren't that good, necessarily. What they find off the Narset. Another Narset, okay. Pro's got cards for days. Understood. I can deny the Narset second card draw here. And that is worth doing. Let's play as Remorseful Cleric. We're kind of telegraphing the fact that we have an uncounterable spirit here. Because why wouldn't we use that if that was our only play? And then they're going to think, what is a spirit they could have? Probably go, okay, it's Spell Queller. Let's grab that up. Interesting. What do we want to do here? Probably want to bestow this. It's probably the Remorseful Cleric is the one we want to bestow on because that's the one with the lowest value at the moment. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so we're going to attack them with all of our creatures. We don't care about the Narset at this point. They cast a Day's Undoing. It's a little bit annoying for us, but it's not the end of the world. If they Wrath, we end up with 2 guys, right? They do end up with a Teferi and a Narset, though. There is that Supreme Verdict. So they can bounce one of our tokens if they want to. They now have the biggest creature on board. Yeah, you kind of just have to push into Wraths at the end of the day, because if you slow roll it and they don't have the Wrath, you give them the chance to get their way into the game. Whereas if you play into the Wrath and they don't have the Wrath, you actually have a chance of winning the game. I think our chance of winning this game has probably escaped us at this point. So they've got another piece of removal locked and loaded. That's very disappointing for us. Force of Will. Okay, that does something. So we are just going to the face here. Flooded Strand. They've got another basic to fetch, probably. They dress down. I'm going to crunch with the spirit, with the illusion, or not. By having the illusion, it does stop our spirit attacking, so I think it's worth. Another Narset. Kind of sick of these Narsets. And we can't keep up with this Narset card advantage. They've got a Force of Will as well. They exiled a Lauren Revealed, so they still have this dress down available if they want it. Alright, what are you going to find, Narset? Another Plow. I don't think we're going to win this one. Opponent's just got too much removal. Alright, so we want the Kira, the Great Glass Spinner. That is a given. We do not require these Remorseful Clerics. I would like some Force of Negation. We do not need all of these Wastelands. We're still going to use them as mana, but our opponent's deck is built to not care about Wastelands. Now, if we do get a shot to use one, it's going to be very strong because our opponent's designed to not really care about them. So when they do care about them, it's lights out. Just the one land, we're going to have to mulligan this one. Okay, we can keep this. Probably getting rid of the Source of Plowshares. We do keep the plows in case they have something like Triumph of St. Catherine. Alright, let's try and curve out. 1 mana, 1/1. Tamiyo. That blocks our guy pretty effectively, doesn't it? Okay. Let's make sure we're very uncomfortable here. Spirit of the Labyrinth, no extra cards for you while this is in play. Then we can follow up with a Drogskol Captain. So they can't be cantripping towards a sweeper if we can protect our Spirit of the Labyrinth with this Drogskol Captain. then that's going to make life really difficult for our opponent. Getting in with the Tamiyo. They can still crack this on our turn, which I guess is what our opponent's plan is here. I would rather have a Drogskol Captain in play than have access to this Force of Will right now. Not sure what they're hoping to draw here, and we are uncounterable in our creatures. Alright, we get to bash for 6 here. We need to dodge a Supreme Verdict. They can't flip Tamiyo. They can have Tamiyo back as a blocker, but we can just remove it and keep bashing. A Prismatic Ending on our guy. Sure. You going to keep bashing with Tamiyo? Or is this going to be a blocker now? No, they're bashing. White Orchid Phantom. Does that do anything here? Not really convinced it does. Then we're just going to add to the board. If our opponent's got the Wrath, it's probably going to beat us. Cycling Lauren Revealed. Might be yet. Oh, a Tundra. Okay. Narset Parter of Veils. Sure. A Prismatic Ending. Understood. Okay, I think we are going to the face here. Well, we know they have spot removal, so we have to kind of do our best. What are we getting rid of here? They're anything we can. So I have to choose between blue and white mana. Like I said, if they got the Wrath, then they probably win. They do have a Narset to dig for it. Maybe we're supposed to chip off the Narset. Ah, they found a Supreme Verdict. Alright, we'll call it a day there. Okay. Our deck is struggling a little bit, but you don't see a lot of this sort of control deck anyway. We kind of want to be trading fairly with resources, not just like ramming all of our stuff and hoping they don't wrath us. Let's go to round 3. Let's see if we can get spooky one time. We can't really keep this one, so we're going to have to mulligan it. Alright, we've got a reasonable curve here. We have to choose what we're putting back. Double Drogskol Captain is quite a useful thing to have access to. I think we're going to go for the double Drogskol, because then everything we have has hexproof. It also stacks up a big load of damage everywhere. Can we just curve out with a bunch of clowns and get there? A waste. Okay. Our opponent's going to be an aggressive Eldrazi deck. So our Spirit of the Labyrinth going to be not the most useful. We probably has to be a Tundra here. So we crash for 2 next turn. Turn after we can crash for loads. Once Upon a Time. Nice to counter their Once Upon a Time. Might be one of the few targets they have in their deck. That and Kozilek's Command. Alright, they've got a 2 mana Lord. Our Lord is 3 mana. Hexproof is nice, but we're just trying to get raw stats on the board here. 3 mana. They got something bigger. It's the Fleshraker. Okay, it's a good one. We could Wasteland our opponent. But how are we ever getting into this game if we're not deploying our creatures? That is the problem here, by playing threats that don't cost 1 mana. Imagine trying to play threats in Legacy that cost more than 1 mana. What a ridiculous prospect. Alright, play this pre-combat because it pumps the Wanderer. A Wasteland. Playing out and hit the Herald at the end. Wasteland here is pretty savage. Yep. They can't really attack because we're obviously going to trade our Spirit of the Labyrinth, whatever they attack us with here. Obviously the only thing they can attack us with is the Fleshraker. But I would trade it for an hit the Herald at the end as well at this point. Swords to Plowshares. Alright, let's do this. Am I going to Wasteland our opponent here and hope to draw a land next turn? I think so. They've already Wastelanded us a little bit, so here we are. Our deck is of a significantly lower power level than our opponent's, so we need to try and cheese it a little bit if possible. Ancient Tomb, at least that cost them life. They attack with just a spawn here, or they attack with both. Okay, I will take the trade. It reduces the power of the spawn. Stops them from casting the big 7 mana guy early. One ring, sure. Need to find a land for this Spirit of the Labyrinth. Did not find a land for that Spirit of the Labyrinth. Yep, you can have some more cards there, opponent. I don't think we're going to be able to come back in this one now. We had a little window. Tried to cheese our opponent out. It didn't work well for us. And now we're getting stomped on, I'm sure. 4 mana Thought-Knot Seer. It is a Thought-Knot Seer. Alright, I think we're done. We're not going to beat this 1 ring card advantage here. We're on very little lands. We've got removal. We've got good removal. And we've got these 3 Consign to Memories that look pretty tasty as well. They're probably better than these Force of Wills that haven't been doing the most for us. Do I want something like a Kataki just to mess with any petals they have, or if they've got any like chalices, possibly. Some of the early drop. Or do we want a Kira just to keep our creatures healthy? Or do we want a 2/1 flyer? Not great options, is it? It's almost like we're playing a really bad deck because it's spooky. Maybe we're the ones who are going to be spooked. Okay, we can keep this one. We have to kind of fetch non-basics so we can't get taken off of colours. What are we getting rid of here? Probably a Remorseful Cleric is the weakest card here. It's just in there as a 2/1. Alright, Mausoleum Wanderer. It's up to you. Just need some good 1-drop spirits. Where's our spooky Delver of Secrets? Alright, so we can hold up Plow. We can hold up Meticulous Archive. We also got the Consign to Memory. That's quite a lot of interaction to mess with our opponent with. Cavern of Souls. So Consign to Memory not going to be great against that. Chalice of the Void. I guess I would very much like to have my Swords to Plowshares live in a creature matchup. So we can say no to that one. Get Meticulous Archive. Try and dig our way towards something more useful. Yes, please. So are we firing this off now? Or do we want to try and hit a land that hits for 2? I think we probably want to hit a land that hits for 2. So we're just going to go for the Drogskol Captain this turn. Our opponent probably has 1 forest. This won't just take them off of mana. Let's pump our Mausoleum Wanderer. Gets cracked for 3. And then next turn we have White Orchid Phantom and Swords to Plowshares held up. It's as close to doing it as we're going to get, I think. Eye of Ugin. That produces a lot of mana, doesn't it? Okay, the Herald's End is certainly low down on the scary things that our opponent could have. Okay. Spell Queller. Is that worth holding? Our opponent didn't cast a 4-drop this turn, though. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So if we want to play this White Orchid Phantom, we need to pop it off now. I think that's correct. We'll hold up the blue so our opponent thinks about the Consign to Memory. We play this first because it gives us +1 power on the Mausoleum Wanderer. Say goodbye to Eye of Ugin. Do you have another basic? Oh, they're not on a green build. Ah. Well, that's pretty devastating for our opponent. I'd love to see that. Our opponent's creature is not worth our time trying to kill it. We'll just let it stay there. And hold up this Plow. Maybe we'll get some use out of it this turn cycle, and then we can use the Spell Queller turn after. And maybe we can put a game win on the board. Gaia's Cradle, tap in for 1. They are a green build, but they don't have a forest. Unless the forest is in their hand. I don't know why you wouldn't be a green build. Like they showed us once upon a time. Like you're going to have some amount of green mana for that. And Yavimaya plus Eye of Ugin is just so gross. Alright, so we get to untap with Spell Queller. Feel good about things. Play this so we can play both of our spells. Boom. 7 damages. And we can Spell Queller our opponent's next play. Unless it's something much bigger than we can Spell Queller. But we do have the Mausoleum Wanderer, which may be able to help us out. We can also pump the toughness, the power on the Mausoleum Wanderer to 3. So it's a mana leak. Kozilek's Command. This isn't something that's going to impact the board in a way that I care about enough. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So if we don't kill this. So if we kill this, they have 1, 2, 3, 4. I think we are plowing this in the Herald's End, so they can't cast the big guy that will exile our Drogskol Captain. And we've still got this Spell Queller that we can use. And we have lethal damage on the backswing at the moment anyway. This just stops them casting something really big that we can't Spell Queller. A Wasteland. That has the potential to be pretty good here. I don't want to play into... So this is 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we have lethal, so we don't need to play this to pump. And we don't want to play into our opponent's Wasteland to turn off our Spell Queller. It's just like a Kozilek's Command. So we can counter this using this Mausoleum Wanderer here. This is CMC 5, or mana value 5, so we can't target it with a Spell Queller. It does keep them alive on 1 life. So I don't think we need to play a threat out here. We just need to make sure they can't Wasteland to get through our Spell Queller. Like, the Guy's Cradle's off for a start. So they could maybe play a 5-drop. The only 5-drops things like Reality Smasher, which doesn't see play anymore. It could be another Kozilek's Command. But that doesn't win them the game because we just crashed through for 3. Maze of Ith. That does not work here. They need to kill our creature as well. Are we going to get a win with Spirits? We got to win with Spirits. That's what we're here for. A game win. Let's see if we can turn it into a match win, shall we? Don't want to do anything differently here. Kira the Great Glass Spinner isn't the worst. But I like where we're at here. Yeah, let's give it a go. This card is excellent in the matchup. This card is excellent in the matchup. These cards are excellent in the matchup. This is a problem. I think we keep. We're on the draw. We can Meticulous Archive our way towards something, or we can Wasteland them if they don't make a 1-drop. Let's see what they find with their Once Upon a Time. And on Drowsy Temple. Are they playing it? Are they playing a spell? Oh, this could be a Fleshraker on 1. Looks like a Fleshraker. Yep, that is pretty devastating. I would like to find an untapped white source so we can just plow this straight up. We did not find an untapped white source. So we can either hate on our opponent's mana here, or let them have 1 turn with the Fleshraker and try and stabilize with some plows next time. I think that's what we have to do. We're looking for land here. Oh, don't do it, opponent. Surely they want to be getting some value out of their Fleshraker, not just wastelanding us. Okay, we survived a turn. Let's plow this Fleshraker right now. We got a Kozilek's Command for 1. Like, I guess that's reasonable. We did this the other way around, then we can stop this, but honestly, if they're burning a Kozilek's Command for 1 here, it's probably not great for them. Right, let's just take out this Eldrazi Temple here. I believe in the power of us to draw lands in our deck with 24 lands. Like, they might not have played this at end step. They might have done, I guess. So we might have been able to save ourselves a tiny bit of damage. They kept the card on top. Oh, they're going to wasteland us now. Now, here's a risk that we are playing into a little bit. Chalice on 1, that shuts down our swords. Yikes. But our opponent doesn't have anything going on. Now, that doesn't mean that they don't have anything they can be working towards there. Spirits. Okay, would very much like to draw some white mana next turn. Start slapping these white Orchid Phantoms into play. They can make a pretty big spell here. It's a Thought Knot Seer. They're probably going to take one of the Phantoms. They did take a Phantom. Unfortunately, Source to Plowshares is not a spirit spell. Spirit creature spell, so we can't actually get that going. Right, let's put something on board. This is uncounterable, so the Chalice won't counter it. This can block for 2 turns, because when it dies, I get a 1/1 spirit. Cavern of Souls, they're probably going to name Eldrazi. And they're going to be playing some more creatures to smash our face in with. Could be another Thought Knot Seer here, take our other Phantom. I'm going to attack us for 4. I think I'll take the first hit, and then we'll think about blocking next turn. Because we could do Spirit of the Labyrinth this turn and have that and the Spirit, so we can double block on the Thought Knot Seer. And that's exactly what we're going to have the ability to do. Alternatively, we can deploy the Phantom and take out one of their lands. But I think I just want to be able to trade with this Thought Knot Seer in combat. Dismember. Okay. So we miss 1 point of damage by not attacking. Because we're trying to hold back on blocks. Alright, so this is going under the bus now. I kind of don't want to hit their Ancient Tomb because I need the life loss from it to help us out. I want them to play like an Eldrazi Temple or an Iron Vugin that we can hit. Another Source to Plowshares. We can take our opponent's only green source. I think we should probably just be hitting the thing that gives them multiple mana though. They will have a waste because they haven't played it yet. We know they've got in the deck. So how do I feel about blocking here? We could, for 1, next turn, if we draw the right land, we can play the Drogskol Captain. And then we'll have a decent amount of power to stick in front of this Thought Knot Seer. Right, we're going to take the 4 this time. I'm going to play another monster. I'm going to play another monster. Okay. This Chalice of the Void has been the difference here. Goodbye, Drogskol Captain. Now we still get to play the Remorseful Cleric, so we can double block. Oh, wow. Okay, that is a great draw. We have First Strike kicking off here. Do you want to take out our opponent's only access to green mana? I think so. We know they don't have any more basics. Are we attacking for 1 here? Double blocking this, taking 4? I don't know. I'm a little bit scared about doing that in case our opponent Kozilek's commands. But they would have to have a land attached to 2. Alright. Let's go in with a spirit. Let's get spooky. So this is what I mean. There are some really good cards in our deck. Like White Orchid Phantom is really good. The Skyclave Apparition is pretty good. The Spell Queller, you know, these cards are actually pretty decent. Oh, our opponent immediately had another Yavimaya. That's sad. So we've actually blunted our opponent's attacks now. That's quite exciting. Let's attack with the Spirit Token. And then we can play a 2-1 flyer. I think that's better than just playing this out as a 1-1. We might be able to bestow this on something. Get a little bit more value. Hit the Hell's End that can't be countered, sure. If we can Skyclave Apparition this Chalice of the Void out and just start ploughing stuff. So we have a slight issue here. Our opponent has some 5/5s. We will be throwing 3 creatures under the bus to kill this. This makes me sad. But we can't afford to have this attacking again and again. And we do get the card draw here. If we can find land and work towards some Skyclave Apparition action. Right, Wasteland isn't nothing, but we need more. Spell Queller. What do you actually do here? Maybe we can catch out this It the Heralds the End on attacks, so we can use this Spell Queller as a removal spell. Because they're definitely going to try and force through the damage here. So we can chump, and then we can gobble up the It the Heralds the End. And then we've got an Indebted Spirit, which can block for a while, because when it dies, it comes back. Or it makes a 1-1. Oh, the cowardice. So now we're kind of in the mode where we have to play this out so that we're being efficient with our mana. Because we're so under the gun here. Not a fan. But we have to do this. We need bodies. If I bestow on this, that gives me a 3/4. It's not very helpful. Then we have to cast this. Can't be countered. I can cast all the spells on our deck now, so we can just fire this off. Take out their only green source. This is where they just have another Yavimaya. Once more time. Little Kozilek's command for 1 on our Indebted Spirit. That is the game right there, I believe. Because then they get to attack for 3. They can make 1 token. Yep, so this exiles it, so we don't get the Afterlife trigger. We block here. This is 3 damage. Our opponent just needs to see it. And yeah, we just die with 2 Source Plowshares. Imagine if we had these access to these Source Plowshares this game. It would have been pretty rudimentary to win this one. Just knocking out these Thought-Knot Seers. Like we could have taken out an It the Heralds the End at the right time. First strike down their guy. We had a lot of chance to win this game, to be honest. Just a couple of blanks in hand. If these were just like Skyclave Apparitions, we'd be miles ahead as well. Alright, it's in the line. So yeah, our deck may be bad, but it is playable. Alright, we got a game. Let's see if we can turn it into a match win in the next round. We're on the play. We've got some spells. I guess we keep... I kind of don't want to play this Cavern straight away. If our opponent wants to burn a Force of Will on our turn 1 Mausoleum Wanderer, I will allow it. This way they might think that they can snag the follow-up later on using some kind of force. Then we can just say, nope, we have a Cavern. Our opponent is reading our card because this card obviously doesn't see a lot of play in Legacy. Alright, just holding up. This could be some kind of Entomb line. A White Orchid Phantom that we can't cast. Let's attack first. Like, we can cast this, but we can't blow up anything. And that's kind of the whole joy of doing it. I could just curve out and play this. Or we could just hold up a Meticulous Archive, which I think I like more. Are we Entomb in here? No, just cycling the old Troll of Khazad-dûm, eh? Getting a bit of that reanimate action? No. Let's go Meticulous Archive. Spell Queller. Don't mind if I do. Our opponent has to be making a play at some point soon. Why could they just make Mausoleum Wanderer a 2-1? That's an Entomb. I feel like our opponent might have 2 of these. They might be doing it to play around the Wanderer, to be fair, but... Alright, snap that Entomb out of our opponent's stack. Now we've got ourselves a little bit more power. We got Delver's worth of damage, but we also get to pump that next turn with the Drogskol Captain. Ponder from our opponent. Something that our Spirit of the Labyrinth should do a good job at interacting with, if we can find them. Wasteland, that might take out our Cavern. They're reanimating a Troll of Khazad-dûm. Okay. That puts our opponent quite low, life total wise. Wouldn't mind another Cavern here. Oh, look at that. Indebted Spirit. Let's race. We are very much winning this race. Oh yeah, we beat the best deck in the format. It's only one game, but I'll take it. Alright, so our opponent's going to be doing some graveyarding nonsense. I would like some Remorseful Clerics to assist in that. These Force of Wills are not doing the most work for us this entire league. Maybe we'll try a different tact. Maybe they were just wrong to have in our deck. The problem is if we do this, we're still one card shy. Are we playing like one Force of Will with very few blue cards? I guess we are. What does this hand do? Not a lot. I think we will mulligan this one. Well, this is West, because we don't get to play anything here. I guess we keep. So what do we want here? One of each basic, Cavern of Souls, and some spells. So 2 of the cards got to go back, so we get rid of Tundra. Maybe we get rid of the Polluted Delta. And we just draw into land or we draw into spells. Either's fine at that point. Or we can get rid of the Spell Queller and just have our land set up. I'll get rid of the Spell Queller. I want to be able to cast my spells. That's the problem with this blue-black reanimated deck. It has too many options because you can jam people up with all sorts. That is a Swords to Plowshares. Because they have Wastelands. They have this Graveyard plan. They have this Tempo plan. They have this Psychic Frog plan. I think we're just going to go and get ourselves a little Wanderer. Right, they didn't cast an Entomb response, so they're not going to be entombing here. They might be cycling. Fatal Push. Sure. We could sacrifice it to counterspell that, but that doesn't really change the outcome, does it? A Psychic Frog. Okay, 3 cards left in our opponent's hand. That's basic planes. Do I want my opponent to untap and see more cards, or do I want to just snap this off now? I think we're snapping this off now. Alright, it's gone. It's out of here. No, we don't want them to have untapped mana when we're trying to cast a key spell like Swords to Plowshares. And then we have the fair plan relatively locked down as long as we can draw some of our stuff. Barrogoyf. It still dies to Swords to Plowshares. A Misty Rainforest. Right, so we're going to go and get Meticulous Archive. Let's plow this. Alright. So far, so good. Got another Barrogoyf. There's a Ponder. So they're kind of off the reanimate plan a little bit, and they boarded in probably some removal and the Barrogoyfs. Wasteland. We're probably going to lose our Cavern here. Yeah, this tells me my opponent might have some interaction that uses like counter spells, like whether that's days or whatever. Alright. Have you got into reanimated your last 2 cards? Please don't do that to me. Ah, dear, oh dear. Alrighty, we'll get rid of this island. It was all going so well, and then it wasn't. That is not good enough. It needs to be another plow. Spirit of the Labyrinth isn't good enough. This clocks us once. I guess we play out our land and discard the Spirit of the Labyrinth. The way this is ordered, the creature will be gone, and then they will draw the card still. So we can't play this and get it out, because this resolves in the order that it's printed on the card. So if we played out the Spirit of the Labyrinth, they would still get to draw their card. I got another follow-up. Alright, so we don't have any outs now, because if we go and get this plow and hit this, we're still dead. Alright. Yeah. Like, there's a reason it's the best deck. It's pretty disgusting. What are we going to do differently? We could maybe take out Indebted Spirits for some forces, just so we've got a little bit of force action there. Maybe that is the correct thing to do. Maybe, I don't really want to take out a blue card to add in a force. We could take out a white card. Skyclaves are pretty decent here, though. Maybe I'm not about trying to wasteland them. We just have another force. Let's try that. Sure, we keep this. We have a turn 2 Remorseful Cleric. That's something. Maybe we can Meticulous Archive our way to a Cavern of Souls. Just a Ponder from our opponent, sure. Let's shuffle off the Ponder. Let's get the Archive. Okay. I like to have land. So we're in this spot where we have to play this out. because our opponent could just go Entomb Reanimate next turn. If they daze this, they don't get to go Entomb Reanimate. If they Force of Will, then we've got a Force of Will out. So any of these exchanges are probably fine. Okay, they pitched an Atraxa. So that means they're only going to get the Archon. Unless they're playing Valgavoth, what the new card is called. Seen that in a few lists. Looks pretty good. It's basically unkillable and is huge. Island. Okay, so this isn't Entomb Reanimate. That's good. It's just a little Psychic Frog. Drogskol Captain. Say no to your Psychic Frog. I could Wasteland our opponent and take them off of black. But that takes us off of all of the cards in our hand, basically. So we're going to hold up this Wasteland and make our opponent think about some other stuff as well. And then we can start Spell Quellering. We need this turn to not be good for our opponent, basically. If they surveil a big monster and immediately reanimate it, I'm going to be upset. Don't do it. Just a swamp. Okay, so our White Orchid Phantom will probably just be a sinkhole on a stick now. We can't cast it because of our mana, but when we get the white source, it's going to be good. So just going to hold up the Spell Queller, I guess. We can just put one in our opponent's end step and use it as a bit of pressure, because we will need to reduce our opponent's life total to 0 at some point. I don't think I'm fighting over the Ponder. I'd rather fight over the thing that comes out of it. Our opponent has limited removal spells, limited threats. A Barrow Goyf. I would like to Spell Queller this, please. Oh wow, it just worked. That was a surprise. Okay. We can Spell Queller the removal spell. And the Wasteland. That is really good here. Am I casting a spell? Do I just want to get another Spell Queller down and have some pressure? I think I do. God, 3 mana is so much. Now we get back the Barragoyf. Now we need to find ourselves a white source for this plow. White source. Oh, Force of Will. You are a turn too late. We're not blocking here. I don't really want our opponent... Oh, it's so bad if they get to dig 4. Oh dear. It's just Psychic Frog but bigger at this point. Are we chump blocking here? Maybe. We're so close to this one. So close. This island jamming us up instead of being a Tundra. Now we're quite a ways off of casting his White Orchid Phantoms as well. We need a Mystic Gate. That would help us out here. An Entomb. Did you not, opponent? This might just be an Entomb to shuffle. But we have to respect the Entomb. Because we can't beat the big scary monster that comes out of it. Oh, I hate this. But yeah, I think we have to chump block so they don't get to dig for a Psychic Frog. Because if they have a Psychic Frog that they add to this board, then there's no way we win. Whereas if we draw a white source now, we might be back in it. I said, if we draw a white source now... Come on, deck. Like, obviously, we are giving ourselves a bit of difficulty by playing a deck that is clearly suboptimal. You know, we're not playing a full Legacy Power level deck. But our draws have been unfortunate as well. Alright, Metamorphosis Fanatic with no targets. Alright, here goes the Neighborhood. Bam. 4 damage. They gain 4 life. There's a Metamorphosis Fanatic in there they can put in their hand if they want to. They might not put it in their hand because 6 mana is an awful lot for their deck. They left it in the graveyard, so if they can reanimate, they can just get it back. Like so. And now this game is unwinnable. Ugh, we were so close there, to be honest. Like, there's a few turns where if we are just drawing white mana, we're fine. I feel we were a little bit unlucky to lose, which is incredible considering the matchup we're playing. But yeah, 4 rounds in, and we've only got 2 wins on the board, and those are game wins, not match wins. So we're trying to fend off the 0-5 here. So let's see if we can get a little bit fortunate. We're on the play. We've got some removal and stuff. Our opponent plays a lot of Painted Servant. They are the Grindstone Cowboy after all. Alright, I'll play this Flooded Strand out. We can go and fetch a Meticulous Archive if we want to. We can kill the first 2 things our opponent does. Counter the third. Wooded Foothills. Lotus Petal. These are all Painted Servant adjacent cards. And a Goblin Welder, sure. I will Meticulous Archive. Our mana base is not going to be under threat in game 1. So we just have perfect mana. Cavern of Souls. I don't really need that. They do have red blasts. There's nothing actually in our opponent's graveyard right now. So we don't need to immediately plow this welder. It could just be bait for something else, or they could be playing a Goblin Engineer this turn, in which case we kill the welder in response. Another welder. That's fine. A Painter's Servant. We don't want to counterspell this, we want to plow it so it's exiled for good. The issue with doing this is we have to plow the welder first. Let's see if they go to attacks. I don't think they are. Because they can just sacrifice this and weld it away. So we have to plow this first. If they use this lowest spell for a red blast and they don't have it for the red blast on the plow, whatever. Right, they would like to weld these two things away. This is going to be an expensive exchange. Oh no, they didn't have the red blast. Not so expensive. I thought we were going to have to pitch 2 cards. So now we can hold back this Spell Queller and counter the next thing they do. I wonder what they think we are, but they've seen just like normal spells and then a Cavern of Souls. That is a Grindstone. We do have another Meticulous Archive, so we're not doing anything there. Another Spell Queller. So they can start grindstoning themselves, and then they can try and weld the grindstone into more useful things. Goblin Engineer. Right, let's go and get ourselves a Tundra. Let's quell those spells. Now we have a threat in play. It's a pretty big deal. Right, so we're going to see a red blast, I think, here. We're doing it this way so we get to keep our creature, and then we're just going to play the Drogskol Captain and just have a protection bubble around our guy in the form of hexproof. Get to bash for some. We'll keep this Cavern of Souls in our hand to give our opponent something to think about. If we draw a land next turn, we can play it. It doesn't really impact anything. Ensnaring Bridge. 2 cards in our opponent's hand. How do we beat Ensnaring Bridge? Yeah, that's an annoying one, isn't it? Game for 2. Let's have a little cleric friend. So if they ever weld out this bridge, it's gone for good. But I think they're just going to sit behind it. We need them to draw stuff they can't play. They also have this Ancient Tomb, so if they are playing spells, it's going to be hurting them. A Grindstone. Have you got another spell as well, opponent? And a welder. Sure. So we don't get to attack this turn. It's going to fall behind due to this one of Ensnaring Bridge. And not be able to get out from underneath it. That is annoying. Okay. This is a real thing here. We can strip our opponent's Ancient Tomb, which gives them less mana, so they might not be able to cast a 3-drop next turn. I think it's worth reducing our opponent's overall amount of mana there. An Urza's Saga. Okay. We do have Skyclave Apparition in our deck. Let's play this out, name Spirit. Where is my Skyclave Apparition? We just take out this Ensnaring Bridge. Have a good time. Right, they're milling themselves so they can get some good fuel with the old welder. This is all a bit awkward now because they have double welder and the painter's in the graveyard. We only have 1 activation to remove their graveyard. Vexen Bauble is fine. Why did it have to be Ensnaring Bridge? We can ground away in our upkeep. Problem is, we sack the Remorseful Cleric here. Then they just welder something else out. Or they welder the same thing out, in fact. So sacrificing our Remorseful Cleric doesn't do anything here, which is incredibly annoying. We got some red blasts over there as well. We need to draw the Skyclave right now. Will it into existence? Come on. Skyclave. Drogskol Captain. You're not a Skyclave. Yes, our opponent can just grind us and kill us now. I don't know why they wouldn't go for it here. Maybe if we've got these 2 cards in hand, they're scared that we're going to remove their painter. Vexen Bauble. Badlands. Right, they're going to grindstone us, and we're going to concede. Okay. We need to win 2 games back-to-back out of the sideboard here. Alright, Consign to memory. Let's get those in there. Kataki's War's Wage, finally. And I don't hate the Remorseful Clerics here either. I think the Indebted Spirits are pretty bad here. I hate having Force of Will against our opponent with a million red blasts, so they can get out of here. And then, what are we finishing off this little puzzle with? Do we need the Drogskol Captains? Do we need the Spell Quellers? They're all kind of expensive. Just cut one of each and call it a day there. Do you want Kira the Great Glass Spinner? Pretty good against all these red blasts. Is that better? That's probably better than Drogskol Captain for the most part. Alright, let's try that. Where were my Skyclave Apparitions when I needed them? Oh, look at this. Stinky island. Stinking up the whole joint here. Let's mulligan. Yikes. Well, the Consign to Memory is going to be good. Let's get rid of one Consign here. A Badlands. And no follow-up, sure. So we could waste this, or we could just get our Spirit of the Labyrinth down. Spirit not at its best in this matchup, but it's still going to clock at a reasonable rate. It does stop things like Phyrexian Dragon Engine and the second chapter of the Fable of the Mirror Breaker. It's not without use. Just feels a bit bad. Which has really been the story of this entire league. Yeah, a Goblin Engineer. We could consign that trigger if we had the mana up, but we don't. They do need an artifact in play, and maybe we can snag the artifact. Alright, this plus the Spirit of the Labyrinth will not go well for our opponent. Land? We did draw a land. So we can hold up Spell Queller. Do I want to trade my Spirit of the Labyrinth for their Goblin Engineer? Probably yes. Yeah, our opponent agrees with our assessment that our creature was not as good as theirs. Okay, we got some interaction here. A Painter's Servant. Our opponent is clearly holding up some amount of Red Blast. Let's make sure this goes away. No amount of Red Blast is saving this one. We don't want to turn on their Red Blast to blow up all of our permanents. Or blow up, or counter all of our spells. Got another Painter. An Ensnaring Bridge. Yeah, that's good. Like I said, we do have answers for it. It's not like we're just playing completely cold here. It's just very frustrating. Swords to Plowshares. I guess we'll just hold up the Spell Queller and Consign to Memory for now. We can always jump the Spell Queller in as a blocker. Oh dear, oh dear. Come on, deck. I don't hate seeing another land. It's not the most useful thing right now, but having that second blue source gives us a little bit more flexibility. A Fury. Fury is pretty good, isn't it? We can't counter that with a Spell Queller. We have to plow this. Do I want to counter the trigger here? I don't think I do. Let's get some Meticulous Archive going. If they get rid of their bridge, we can obviously just kill their engineer. Okay, so we're going to plow this engineer right away. Am I going to stop our opponent from drawing 3 cards? Oh, it's a tough life for us here. This Fury is big. Dragon Engine. We can block the dragon. We can trade with the Dragon Engine right now. We can hold up to try and counter our opponent's next play. A Goblin Welder. I will take anything here. Blast. The Illusion of Choice. Alright. So our opponent has very much lethal damage over there. Drogskol Captain blocks here. We take 4. So we're still alive. If you can call this living. I'll take out their black source so we can't get Chaos Defiled. Time to welder back your Ensnaring Bridge, opponent. I don't feel good about this one. So we take 4 here. Even if we draw Plow, we lose. If we draw Skyclave, I guess we Skyclave this away, block here. And then we take 3 and go to 1. But we can't cast the Skyclave actually because of the Magus. So I don't believe we have anything. I didn't sneak Eternus in my deck. Alright, that is the end of the league. And our deck, quite clearly, wasn't very good. However, the game we actually lost against the blue-black Reanimator deck was really close. And there were some other games that felt close until they weren't. And let's talk about the deck and explain why that is the case. So I did mention at the beginning of this league that we had some good cards, right? So these cards are legacy power level. Now, Spell Queller is, you know, it's weak on the legacy power level side, but it's not... if you saw someone playing this, you wouldn't go, oh, that's a complete piece of rubbish. I've never seen that before in Legacy. What are you doing? Like, this has seen a little bit of fringe play here and there. It's on the lower end of Legacy playables, but it probably just about creeps into it. My Orchid Phantom is genuinely great. Skyclave Apparition, genuinely great. And if we'd have drawn it a load of times in this league, we had options where if we just draw this, we're fine, and we never drew it. So that's annoying. Spirit of the Labyrinth. This has been a staple win, Death and Taxes deck since they moved away from Thalia due to Psychic Frog and stuff. So, you know, even if we take out the Spell Queller, we've got 12 good cards here that you are not ashamed to be playing with at all. And we've got the best removal spell in the format. And we've got the best counter spell in the format. So, you know, a third of our deck is good stuff. Our lands, the other third, you know, it's lands, it's fine. We got a pretty happy mana base. Although maybe this island shouldn't be in the deck. Because we got tripped up on this several times and it just wasn't worth the trouble. So maybe we strip out this island and replace it with another Tundra. And that probably makes our deck a little bit better. Mausoleum Wanderer, not really up to scratch here, to be honest. Like, we did have situations where this was changing the way our opponent was playing. They're trying to play 1 mana spells. They can't really play very efficiently into it because it's just a counter spell on board. You know, that was fine, but clearly below the power level. And a Lord, a 3-mana Lord is a lot to ask for. Now, Hexproof is good, but, you know, we saw our opponents just having lots of removal spells that is much cheaper than this, so they can just take it out, whether that was like or Source of Plowshares or just Supreme Verdicting and sweeping our whole board. There's a lot of stuff that was getting in our way. And Indebted Spirit is obviously just a piece of rubbish as well. The Remorseful Clerics, you know, they're a tech piece. It's probably reasonable enough if we're doing what we're doing, but obviously it's still not great. So we have too many fun cards. Now, obviously we had to do that because we're trying to play Spirits. We're trying to play the spooky Kindred deck. And we just didn't quite get over the line with it at all. But I think even if we sort of rate them slightly differently, there is too many cards on here that aren't good enough. And we don't have any sort of card advantage engine. I did have a build of this that had Ether Vial. And we just sort of cut more 1-drops. But then we were even later committing to the board and doing stuff. I think we did lose games because of this island. And we lost games because we didn't draw a Skyclave Apparition. And when you have, you know, fewer good cards in your deck, right? A Legacy deck should have 60 good cards in it, right? But, you know, you can have a few situational ones here and there, but you're generally going to be playing a bunch of good cards for the most part. And when we're playing less good cards, it means that the pressure that is put on the good cards is a lot more. It's like, okay, we need this Skyclave Apparition. Oh, okay, we don't have it. I guess we lose. And that is certainly awkward. And I definitely play like some fun and silly decks on the channel, and today is no exception. But this deck was... I didn't expect this deck to be good. I expected us to get like a cheeky 1-4 or something like that. You know, just having guys and counter spells is probably reasonable enough with some good removal, right? If we drew this half the deck in one of our games, we'd probably win. But that just didn't happen. And we just had too much of this clunky nonsense that you all knew from the start that was probably not going to be good enough. I don't know if people play Spirits in other formats. I don't really pay attention to other formats apart from pre-modern. So I can imagine that maybe in one of the lower power formats, people are doing stuff that looks a little bit like this, and that's kind of okay. But it really did not feel like we were even playing the same game as our opponents today. Apart from, weirdly, that blue-black Reanimator matchup, where all the games kind of felt like they were ones that we could win, and then we just kind of just got tipped over by needing the top of our deck to be kind to us, and it wasn't. So, yeah, I think the result was probably on the lower end of expectation, but the gap between the low and the high end of expectation here is very low. Like, I think if we got a 2-3 with this deck, it would be incredible and very surprising. A 1-4, I thought we'd probably be able to just win a game off the back of this selection of cards here. But that, and you know, Spell Queller does some work too. So we've got this selection of stuff. I thought that would be enough, but it just wasn't. And the scariest part of this spooky deck is our win record, which is abysmal. All right, join me tomorrow where we try and play a better spooky deck. I've got something that's going to be a little bit stronger, so we should be able to take down some games and have a bit of a better crack at it. But I did want to play Spooky Spirits for the first time because it's Spooky Week, and what's spookier than ghosts, right? And that's the end of that one, I'm afraid. All right, thank you so much for joining me on this one. Please remember to like and subscribe, and goodbye. If you'd like to support me in the channel, please check out my Patreon. It has a free guide to budget turbo depths as well as 3 tiers of support. A low cost one that enters you into my monthly raffle for a free donation deck on the channel, a mid-tier subscription that gives you access to my detailed turbo depths guide that is updated every month as well as regular articles, And lastly, the higher tier gives you all of the above, as well as a monthly donation deck for my channel. If you're interested in supporting the channel this way, please check out the link in the description.